Hey, what's going on YouTube? I'm back. So I took a little bit of a break to enjoy all that Comic-Con had to offer, even though I didn't go. So I figured I'd take some time off here to let Comic-Con come and go, and instead of trying to cover everything that interests me in several different videos, I figured I'd do one big one for all of you. So I'm going to start off with something that was pre-Comic-Con, which just happened to wrap up this last weekend. So it's been announced by Universal Studios that Halloween Horror Nights will have a Ghostbusters themed haunted house, and guests will find themselves choosing the form of their destructor. Now, while Ghostbusters isn't exactly known for its scary moments, the supernatural elements make the film an intriguing premise for a themed house. Universal notes that the house will be inspired by the original 1984 film, not the 1989 sequel, or the Paul Feig reboot, or the upcoming Jason Reitman films, with guests being able to walk through iconic scenes such as the New York Public Library, the Temple of Gozer, and more. Along the way, guests will come face to face with some of the movie's most iconic paranormal creatures, including Slimer, Gozer the Gozerian, the Stay Puft Marshmallow, and more. The promo image for the house also shows the Terror Dogs. How exciting is that? It appears that the room isn't trying to scare guests too much, but more so celebrate the film's 35th anniversary. The official description of the maze reads as follows. In each maze, guests will follow in the footsteps of the Ghostbusters, Peter, Ray, Egon, and Winston, as they venture through artfully recreated scenes from the film, including the firehouse, New York Public Library, and the Temple of Gozer, as an army of ghoulish spirits, hideous specters, and ectoplasm dripping phantasms attack from every corner. As they delve deeper into the maze, guests will come face to face with an array of paranormal creatures, from voracious Slimer to the all-powerful Gozer the Gozerian, and in its ultimate destructor form, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, to brave the demonic spirits that survive the night. Halloween Horror Nights kicks off on Friday, September the 6th in Orlando, and Friday, September the 13th in Hollywood. To learn more, please visit HalloweenHorrorNights.com. So, who plans to go to Halloween Horror Nights? If you weren't before, does the addition of the Ghostbusters themed haunted house change your mind in any way? I wish I could go. Alright, so moving on to some stuff that was covered in Comic-Con actually. Halloween. Now, since we were talking about Halloween Horror Nights, I figured, well, now's the perfect time to say, hey look, it has been confirmed that we are indeed getting back-to-back Halloween movies, just not in the same year. The Boogeyman will be stalking his way back to the big screens everywhere on October 16th, 2020, and October 15th of 2021. I don't know about you, but I am super freaking excited. The titles of the upcoming films are Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends respectively, in 2020 and 2021. It has been confirmed that filming will start on the films this coming September, with a short break in between the filming schedules of the two films. Danny McBride revealed that the story that runs through Halloween Ends was concocted when they came up with the story for 2018's Halloween. He goes on to say, that was our plan, relaunching it for just one. We wanted it to have a bigger story. We were originally going to even shoot them back to back, but as soon as we got it up and running, we took a look at ourselves and were like, you know what, we should make sure we can do one of them good before we bite off trying to do three of them. So we just put all of our efforts into trying to make the first one land. There was talk right away of us doing more of these. We just needed to get everybody aligned and see if everybody was down with the vision. Luckily, everyone is. Basically from here, I'm just going to pull straight from Collider since they have some awesome information on where the franchise is going from here. As for how Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends will differ from the 2018 film, McBride says neither movie reinvents the franchise, and the sequel serves as continuations. It's just a continuation of it, he says. It's telling the story moving forward. It's not another reinvention or anything like that. It's this world that we've established, and then it continues beyond the events of the first one. As for that title, Halloween Ends, and whether Green and McBride intend to conclude the horror franchise once and for all, McBride admits that only one person can really put an end to Halloween. I think ultimately Michael Myers is such an iconic character that no one besides Carpenter, that's John Carpenter, is ever going to have ownership over him. This will be our chance at the table to play with these characters, and I'm sure that when we're done, other people will come in and do the same thing, or have their own reinvention. Michael Myers is iconic enough to allow that too. He's like James Bond, where you can have different actors and different filmmakers. He represents something so simple and scary that he can be translated by lots of different people. With that being said, Halloween Ends is intended to bring their 3-film arc for Laurie Strode and Michael Myers to a conclusion. They're never done telling the Frankenstein story, and at this point, Michael Myers is a classic movie monster. But our Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, Michael Myers saga will be done. The fun of it is also seeing it end and knowing that it can. If you just keep trying to elongate it and milk it for all the money, then that's boring. Now, myself personally, as a Halloween fan, I never want to see the franchise end. Same as with the X-Files. I have such love for that show that there will always be new stories out there that they could tell to keep the show alive. But as for now, the X-Files have apparently been closed. Alright now, so I guess we can carry on with the horror theme we have going here, and go on to It Chapter 2. So, It Chapter 2 is set to be released on September 6th, 2019, and end the It series, rebooted, remade, whatever, by Andy Muschietti, I'm assuming, and stars Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise the Clown. At Comic-Con, they released an absolutely terrifying trailer that showed where the kids of Derry are 27 years later. It Chapter 2 stars James McAvoy as Bill, Jessica Chastain as Bev, Jay Ryan as Ben, Isaiah Mustafa as Mike, Bill Hader as Richie, James Ransone as Eddie, and Andy Bean as Stan. So, are you excited for the final chapter of It? Were you terrified by the miniseries as a child like I was? Hell, I'm 37, and The Exorcist still scares the shit out of me today. Anyway, moving right along here. Scary stories to tell in the dark. My buddy Charlie Murphy told me about this one. I seem to remember possibly hearing about it beforehand, but not really thinking much of it since I don't really recall reading the books when I was younger. Regardless of that, the movie still looks freaking awesome and creepy as shit. Since I'm pretty unfamiliar with it all, here I'm just gonna read the premise of the movie for you. It's 1968 in America. Change is blowing in the wind. Seemingly far removed from the unrest in the cities is the small town of Mill Valley, where for generations the shadow of the Bellows family has loomed large. It is in their mansion on the edge of town that Sarah, a young girl with horrible secrets, turned her tortured life into a series of scary stories, written in a book that has transcended time. Stories that have a way of becoming all too real for a group of teenagers who discover Sarah's terrifying home. Now, the story was written by Guillermo del Toro, so it's bound to be creepy as all hell. So if you're a fan of the books and like to have the shit scared out of you, you might want to check this one out. I'll be there. Next up, we have Terminator: Dark Fate. I gotta say, after the last few Terminator movies flopped hard, I have very little faith in the movie, but tons of hope for it that it does well. Having James Cameron involved does give me a little boost of faith in this movie, just not a whole heap. The return of Linda Hamilton and Ed Furlong's franchise makes me excited for this movie, even though something deep down inside of me tells me that this movie is going to flop. I just have that feeling I can't shake. I hope I'm wrong because I love the first 2 movies in the franchise. Sorry I don't have so much to say about the upcoming Terminator movie. It's just I'm trying not to set myself up for the loss of disappointment. So with that being said, let's move on to Picard. The series is set 20 years after Jean-Luc Picard's last appearance in Star Trek Nemesis in 2002, and finds him deeply affected by the destruction of Romulus as depicted in the film Star Trek in 2009. I love how they seem to be tying the timelines together. That's pretty freaking awesome. The trailer they showed at Comic-Con was very touching and still had its fair show of action. I'm very curious as to who this girl is that approaches Picard in the trailer. Why is she important? Share your thoughts and theories down below. So next up we have some news out of DC. As I'm sure most of you know that the upcoming season of Arrow is going to be its last. I never really watched it, so I can't say I'm sad to see it go. I've only really seen the crossover events and such. Speaking of, I'm sure you've all heard that Brandon Routh, who portrayed Superman in the 2006 film Superman Returns, is, well, returning to the role in the upcoming crossover event, Crisis on Infinite Earths. He will be playing a version of Superman we have yet to see in live action, Kingdom Come Superman, and I, for one, am excited to see this version of Superman, even if it is on the small screen. Now, bear with me here as I've heard some crazy freaking rumors for this event. I'll start with what has been confirmed, aside from Ralph returning to Superman. It has been confirmed that Burt Ward from the 60s Batman series is going to be a part of the event. I'm not sure if it's been confirmed that he is playing Dick Grayson or a completely new character, but Cosmic Book News claims to have sources that say he will indeed be playing Robin. However, Cinema Blend says it is still unknown who he will be. Cosmic Book News also claims that DC Universe's Titans will show up, that Tom Welling will return, Linda Carter is returning, and even Henry Cavill is returning as Superman in some form or fashion. Now, the majority of that, I just don't know. If it turns out to be true, well, damn, shows how much I know. Anyway, Tyler Hoechlin will be returning as Superman alongside Elizabeth Tulloch as Lois Lane. And not only that, we will also get to be Lois and Superman's child. So I'm curious to see how they handle it. Will they go the comic book route and name the child John, or go in a completely different direction? So now that we got a little bit of rumor and speculation out of the way, it's been posted on Twitter that Roger Rogan, I guess is how you pronounce his name, got to meet with Henry Cavill at Comic-Con over the past weekend and talk with him about a few things. One of those things being Superman. Now, Rogan has posted on his Twitter account, Cavill told him he is still very interested in playing Superman. Cavill would like to get a solo Man of Steel sequel and explore how it affects someone with absolute power. He wants to find out what makes Superman tick. And if you're wondering about what it is that affects someone with absolute power, I have no idea. He doesn't say in his tweet. Let me know what you guys think. Okay, so now that we've covered a little bit of DC Comics, let's jump ship on over to Marvel and see what they have in store for us. Don't feel out of touch if you haven't heard of the Eternals before San Diego Comic-Con, because neither have I. The upcoming film is Marvel's next stab at a team-up franchise after the massive success and unwavering popularity of Guardians of the Galaxy. The Eternals, who derived from a separate species of humans called Celestials, were conceived by the legendary comic book innovator Jack Kirby in 1976. He conjured up a team of 35,000-year-old immortal defenders that faces an enemy called the Deviants. Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, Richard Madden, and more stars will help bring the ancient aliens to life. Directed by Chloe Zhao, The Eternals join MCU's Phase 4, a 2-year map of Marvel movies and Disney Plus original shows. There's already speculation over how the Eternals fit in among the likes of Black Widow and Doctor Strange, but their title film is sure to reveal more. Such as, will they introduce the world of mutants now that Disney has the rights to use mutants in their movies now? At San Diego Comic-Con in 2019, Marvel announced The Eternals will be released in theaters on November 6, 2020. It's going to be the first movie to give us a glimpse at the post-Endgame MCU. In case you have no clue what The Eternals is about, like me, according to the comics, the Eternals stem from common mythology dating back to the dawn of the human race. Ancient overseers, known as the Celestials, arrived on Earth to divide its inhabitants into 3 sects. Not sects. Let's not get off track here. Humans, Eternals, and Deviants. In case their name doesn't make it clear, the Deviants are the bad guys. They're unstable, violent, and less evolved. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you everything you need to know about the Eternals. That most likely would take way too long. Plus, you have the internet. All of us who are unfamiliar with them should probably do ourselves a favor and Google them. Now, let's move on to another Marvel movie, Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm totally hyped for this movie. Marvel blew our collective minds when they announced that Natalie Portman was returning to the MCU. I can't wait to see her take on the role of the mighty Thor. After being severely underused in the previous Thor films, can they redeem the lovely Jane Foster? I sure hope so. It's also been confirmed that Thor: Love and Thunder will have an LGBTQ character. I think it's clear who that will be. While I don't personally agree with that, as I've said many times before, they didn't ask for my opinion, so I don't care one way or the other. Anyway, I need to start wrapping this up. A surprise announcement was that Mahershala Ali will play the daywalking vampire hunter Blade. Now, as you know, Wesley Snipes had been pushing hard to reprise the role of Blade, yet it just wasn't meant to be. He did, however, have this to say about the casting of Ali in the role. To all the daywalkers losing their minds right now, chillax. Although the news comes as a surprise, it's all good. Such is the business of entertainment. Much peace to the MCU crew. As always, a fan, Snipe says. Honor and respect to the Grandmaster Stan. Congratulations and salam to Mahershala Ali, a beautiful and talented artist whose expressions I look forward to experiencing for many years to come. Inshallah, we will someday work together. Most importantly, to my loyal fans, the incredible outpouring of love is overwhelming. I am grateful for the never-ending support. So nah fret, nah worry, it's not the end of the story. Welcome to the Daywalker Clique. Well then, that was nice of him to speak out in support instead of getting all butthurt over not being cast to play Blade again. However, those of you hoping to see Blade in Phase 4, that simply won't be the case. Feige has confirmed. Feige. I keep mispronouncing that guy's name. I have no clue. Anyway, he's confirmed that the Blade film will not appear in the MCU until Phase 5. Now moving on from Marvel. The first trailer for Jay and Silent Bob Reboot was released, and I thought it was freaking hilarious. Kevin Smith, who plays Silent Bob in the movie, has described the film as literally the same movie all over again, referring to his 2001 comedy Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. It is intended to be the 7th film in the View Askew universe. The film also stars Jason Mewes and features Smith regulars including Jason Lee, Brian O'Halloran, Ben Affleck, and Matt Damon. It is scheduled to be theatrically released in the United States on October 15, 2019. Just in case you were wondering what the movie is about, the synopsis reads as such. After losing the legal rights to their names over a film reboot of Blunt Man and Chronic, Jay and Silent Bob travel across the United States in an attempt to prevent the reboot from being made. So, as Smith stated, pretty much the same damn movie all over again. And I'm totally down with that. I've been a long-time fan since I saw Clerks. I've followed just about every single movie in the View Askew universe. I can't freaking wait for this movie. Now, in some very shocking news here, at least to me anyway, Sly Stallone is in the works of getting a Rocky-centered movie in development. This is after he publicly posted that after Creed 2, he was going to retire the character of Rocky. It appears he has had a change of heart, since he seems to be all gung-ho about Rocky 7. Stallone claims he feels robbed of an ownership stake in Rocky and that he was furious. In his long career, Stallone also played another memorable screen role, John Rambo, but Rocky was of his own making and still holds a unique place in the very fabric of his being. It's like my brother, he says. It's the only voice that I can say what I want without being ridiculed or being silly or being precious or sentimental. Because he is that way. Until now, Stallone, 73, never talked publicly about the deep-seated resentment he's harbored for decades over not being given any ownership over the lucrative series that launched with the 1976 original film that he conceived, wrote, and starred in. Rocky became a surprise box office hit and critical darling, garnering 10 Oscar nominations, including Best Actor and Original Screenplay for Stallone, and winning for Best Picture, Director, and Film Editing. Stallone suddenly went from being an actor living on the edge in a Hollywood apartment to a global household name. Speaking during a Q&A at the Cannes Film Festival, Cannes, whatever, the actor said he had no plans to appear in another film in the Creed spin-off series, but had a great idea for a new Rocky movie. He suggested the film would likely not be made, but it could work. I have a great idea for Rocky. He finds this fella who's in the country illegally, and it becomes a whole thing. It would be really phenomenal, really different. So what are you guys' take on Rocky taking on illegal immigration? Now for the last movie on my list to cover. Top Gun Maverick. I feel the need for speed. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Tom Cruise has put on his old familiar aviator glasses, slipped on his comfortable flight jacket, and is back in the danger zone after 34 years of waiting. The other day, the first trailer for Top Gun Maverick was released, and it looks amazing. I've always been a huge fan of the first Top Gun, and still watch it regularly. Alright, so let's talk about the upcoming film. Top Gun Maverick takes place 34 years after the original and stars Tom Cruise, Jennifer Connelly, Val Kilmer, Glenn Powell, Ed Harris, John Hamm, and Miles Teller. In the upcoming Top Gun sequel, Maverick is the new flight instructor of Top Gun, in which he guides Bradley, Goose's son, who seeks to become an aviator much as his father was. About the movie, Cruise had this to say. 34 years ago, I made a movie in San Diego, shot across the street in a restaurant. I was always asked, when are you going to do another one? Well, you've been very patient with me. I felt like it was my responsibility to really deliver for you. He continues, everything you see in this film is very real, a love letter to aviation. In the trailer, we also get a glimpse of the new generation of shirtless volleyball players, which is sure to excite some of the ladies out there. And of course, Maverick getting a good scolding from his superior, saying he should be a 2-star admiral by now, but is only a captain, and calling him a dinosaur trying to thrive in a military increasingly reliant on technology. Overall, as Collider put it perfectly, this trailer is classic Top Gun. The theme is there, the imagery, the motorcycling, there's even shirtless volleyball as I mentioned before. To be honest, there's absolutely no reason a Top Gun sequel needs to be made, and yet this trailer makes me unreasonably excited for this film. For one, Cruise gets to play an older, seemingly more hardened version of the cocksure Maverick, which is mighty enticing for an actor of Cruise's caliber. For another, the in-camera special effects here are pretty mind-blowing. We know Cruise goes above and beyond for stunts, and the combination of Kaczynski's polished aesthetic, Claudio Miranda's ambitious cinematography, and those for real high-flying stunts will no doubt combine for a uniquely cinematic experience. So yeah, I'm 100% in for this. Put it directly into my eyeballs right now. Yes, yes indeed, I am so ready for this movie to come out. What about you fine ladies and gents? Were you a fan of the original? Are you still a fan? Will you be there opening night to watch Cruise take off on another adventure? I sure will. What do you want to see in the upcoming sequel? So that wraps up this ridiculously long video from Comic-Con and beyond. Let's talk about all of that in the comment section down below. Don't forget that if you like the content I'm putting out, to like, subscribe, and share. As always, I've been Derek, and you've been you. The end is inevitable, Maverick. Your kind is heading for extinction. Maybe so, sir, but not today.